Hey Hoodies, welcome back to my channel. Today what we're going to do is we're going to go through the testing drawer again. I got some more BR from some more brands, but I'm not going to talk about this. This is from Fluorosis. I'm not going to talk about this in this video. I will save that for like another time. Also got some PR from this brand called Lukey Lukey. They sent me some of their, well, I think all of their blushes. I'm feeling compelled to continue moving forth with just using stuff from my testing drawer. So I'm going to keep that open, but I do want to discuss a few things that I'm ready to make decisions on before we move in because I've been testing them in my free time. I do want to keep my Olivia Palermo palettes. So the one I haven't used on screen yet, on camera yet, called Au Naturel. This is what I was talking about in my last video, that sometimes I think whenever they get cold, my room is very cold. Whenever they get cold, the mirrors do that. But literally, if you close it and reopen it. So this is a different one. This is called Au Naturel. And I would like to do a look with this sometime with you, but I am going to keep it because I really quite like it. We've already seen me use Soiree, but as I was using Soiree the other day, I had a thought. I thought about my Charlotte Tilbury Luxury Pops. I thought about this shade, and I knew they weren't exactly the same, but I wanted to swatch them next to each other because the whole reason I keep this quad is because I love that shade. And I like this shade, but I very rarely use it because I don't think about the quad as a whole, right? I don't think about it as something that I really want to use often. But this has a lot more to offer to me as far as being something that I would like to use. I think they're going to be close enough where if I want this sort of sooty, smoky blue, so the Olivia Palermo's on my index finger, and then that's the Charlotte Tilbury. And then Olivia Palermo's on top. It's a little bit deeper. It does lack that like tealness to it. I'm going to use this one a lot more than I'm going to use this one just because of it has other things to offer me in the palette as opposed to two shades I don't care about and then one shade I kind of like with this one shade. So if this was a single, I would absolutely keep it, but I'm going to declutter this actually. I think it's okay for me to let that go. And then I'm going to officially move Soiree into its place. And I just know that I'm going to use Soiree more. Although now I'm putting it in here, it's not fitting the same, but that's okay. And I am going to move Au Naturel in there. I would like to do a look with it. There's just like a lot happening, so I'll show that to you in another video. Perhaps in like an upcoming get ready with me when I go see my friends next. I need to wipe this off before I like get too far. So on my neck, this is actually one of the things I bought from Gemini Vintage. It'll be in an upcoming get ready with me if it's comes up after this video, but it's coming. And then the next thing I'm gonna move, I'm gonna keep all of the Olivia Palermo stuff minus that primer that I got. So I'm gonna hold on to both of the lipsticks because I liked both of them. I have worn Chianti in a video, but like I said in my last video, in case you missed it, I think Olivia Palermo has chosen to close her brand, but I really like all the stuff I have, so I'm going to continue using it. So I'm going to move this into my lipstick drawer. I feel very comfortable doing that because I don't have a ton of lipsticks. I like the ones I like, but it's always nice to have like additional things to be able to use, so I'm going to move these down there. And then the final thing, I don't think I'm going to do a whole video on, but I wanted to like update you on my feelings on the Glaminatrix Fairy Lights palette. I think they're gonna do a restock soon if they haven't already done a restock of this. I really, really like this. I think these shades are really, really special. I'll swatch one for you just so you can see what I'm talking about. They're like metallic, but the metallic comes from like how much shimmer there is. So I feel like in some lighting you see this and you think that's just like a straight metallic, but there is so much incredible shimmer in there. And whenever I wipe these off, whenever I'm taking off my makeup, there's just so much shimmer everywhere. They're packed with shimmer. And if you apply them lightly, like on this side of my hand, I just blended it out, you can see how much shimmer remnant there is and how much there's like, it's like there's not really that much pigment in there. It's just like loaded with shimmer. They're beautiful and I've had great success with them. I really, really like them. I think I'm going to be using them in an upcoming get ready with me. I should have done my base before I swatched all these sparkly things, but I'm going to actually move this into my drawer, my eyeshadow drawer. And the reason is because I like it as a home for this and I'll always know what's in here when I want them, but you can use them, you can remove them. I took at least one of the shades with me when I went to Vegas last year. So, you know, you can mix and match. And I did wear it in Vegas. Oh, so good. I think those are all the updates. There's something I'm going to be using today that will also be moving from my testing drawer into my permanent drawer. It's been around for a while. It's just, I haven't used it on camera yet. So today I'm going to be using it on camera. So I'm excited to get into it. Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base today. I'm applying my foundation with my hands today, and I just need as much shimmer not on them as I can get. I live a dangerous lifestyle with all the shimmer that I typically wear. It's just, I'm always covered in glitter. This weekend I'm going to going out to dance. I'm probably gonna wear a lot of sparkly things. For foundation today, I'm gonna try the Glossier foundation again. So in case you missed it, I had a shade of this that was slightly off, and I took this out of Khaki's declutter pile, and I don't know that this one's gonna match me exactly, but it does look better. It looks better than the last one I tried. And I thought this foundation was okay when I tried it last, but it didn't really seem like something I felt like I needed, because I feel like it doesn't really take the powder too well. This is the shade Very Light 3, by the way, for anyone curious. And in the last time I tried this, I remember thinking that the hand application was like the way to go. It's a pretty good match. Yeah, that looks good. It's, I like it enough as a match to continue playing with it. I want to see if I fall in love with it. I'm not 100% sold on it. It's not the worst thing I've ever tried, but my friend Cam, they were they really like it as a foundation. And so did Ivy, Face Forward. She also really likes it as a foundation. So I'm just giving another try. I don't know that the three of us are the most compatible as far as what we're looking out of a complexion product. But I think this looks better than it ever did when I tried it with the other shade. So there's something to that. Did I still get glitter all over my face? I absolutely did. I'm gonna contour with Intuition from Ritual de Fille. I feel like I need to update my favorite brushes. If you haven't heard, or if you weren't paying attention, if you didn't see me say this earlier, I created a Shop My Shelf, which is always in my description, about my favorite tools. Because I don't know, I feel so weird about shouting out tools every time I'm using them on my channel, because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. And then that way, if I'm using something, I mean, you're always welcome to ask, by the way, what I'm using. It just feels weird to me. I don't know. It feels unnatural. I don't know, because I feel like my channel lives somewhere in between us hanging out as friends and also me being a YouTuber. But I don't mean that, I'm trying not to say it that sounded really parasocial. What I mean by that is, because I feel like if I'm starting to shout out every brush I use, it feels really salesy to me, where it's just that's the brush I'm going to use. Okay, so we're going to try the Chantecaille Glow Powder again. So I'm going to use my regular powders for the rest of my face, and then we will use a lot of powder products on top. And then we're going to finish with a bang today. I mean, it probably is in the thumbnail what we're finally talking about. We'll get there when we get there. I have a lot to say. I have a lot of feelings about it, and I'm going to share with you. The Airbrush Brightening Powder just under the eyes and the center of my face. I really actually am liking the way the Glossier is looking right now quite a bit. It's looking second skin to me now, because it didn't before, and I do think it had a lot to do with the shade. And then I'm gonna powder the rest of my face with my Charlotte Tilbury powder. Just the regular brightening powder. The foundation looks good. Still not the most wow. I think that finding the right shade in it is the biggest challenge, because I know a lot of other people outside of the realm of YouTube had trouble figuring out their shade in it. So that's certainly something I would go to a Sephora if you could, to color match yourself. Now let's try the Glow Powder from Chantecaille. Now someone did say, well, you need to buff it into your skin. I buffed the regular one into my skin. So I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna pick up maybe more product than I usually do, and I'm just gonna... I think that the confusing thing about this is I don't see where the glow is. It definitely looks glowier. And I don't know if I posted this already, but I did do my Battle of the Blur video with the original one and the Sisley powder. The only thing that I see that's different about this than the regular Blur powder, the shade's lighter. So let me get my original one. And so I don't know if this is due to time because this product is old to me. It does have enough pigment that it does alter the color of your foundation a bit if you're not being careful. So like look at that color and look at that color. I feel like this matches my skin a little bit better than the original one does. But whenever I think of a glow powder, I don't want it to like look like my skin is dehydrated. It's not just so much matte, it doesn't like look good. Like it just doesn't look as good as I feel like when I use this one. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of that soft sheen. I would rather have that sheen come from like a glowing foundation or like a highlighter even. Like I don't know. I don't feel like this makes my skin look like healthy glowing skin. I don't know. That would be what I would assume that this product is aiming to do. But I feel like I don't hate it like some people did. Like because I do feel like because I have oily skin, my skin can handle a lot of powder. I mean, I just powdered my face 3 times. But I still feel like, well, I don't know. Now that's kind of settled and it's looking a little bit better. I would love to see them add more shades to this, lighter and deeper, and in between, obviously, because I was using this the other day against the Sisley powder, and I noticed how much this changed my skin tone. But again, that could be because it's old too. Like the color could have changed a lot since I got it. I don't think it really has, but could have. That might be why it's deepening my skin a little bit. Anyway, just food for thought. But like, do I want it to be like part of my regimen? And I also think that it's the foundation that's making my skin look healthier, not really this powder. To be determined. I think it's something I want to continue playing with. Like, it's not an automatic out. I don't hate it. I think my skin looks okay. I'm gonna use the Victoria Beckham bronzer. I feel like my makeup's really turning out though. Like, it's looking good. Like, I like where we're headed, actually. I'm like really enjoying the way we're looking today. I'm using a different product in my hair. I've been using the stuff that I got from my old barber. It's just a little bit different than this, which I'm almost out of. But I think I like this enough that I can continue like using it. It's just like not my favorite thing. But it's like I have it and I can use it. So I'm gonna use it. Let's talk about blush. This is what we've been building to. So I bought the Valentino Eye to Cheek when I was in Las Vegas. And this is the shade 3. Which has like a fancy name. I'm gonna take that out. I don't care about that. I'm gonna get rid of it. I've mentioned this before, that the way a display at a Sephora will alter how I feel about a brand. And I've talked about the makeup by Mario specifically. The displays always looks dirty because it's like, it's in this white packaging and it always just looks filthy. It just looks filthy and I have like no desire to buy it just based on that appearance in a Sephora. Anytime I've been to a Sephora that has Valentino in it, I felt similarly. Now, I think that there's just something about this formula that's really sensitive to being in light. At Sephora, at the end of the day, these stay open and they're open all day. So the light in the Sephora's, which their lighting has only gotten brighter in recent times, hits that and it just alters the way it looks. And then people are putting their hands on them and whatever. Every time I've seen them, they've always just looked gross to me. This one was like new to the display because it was in limited edition packaging for the holidays, and I was obsessed with it. Now, when you look at this color, you're probably like, okay, what do you mean? Like, why are you so excited about it? It's like a pink that has a little bit of lavender to it. And like, you know, I've been more open to pink as far as like blushes go. It has that right amount of like coolness, but also like effortlessness, but also like something interesting going on with it. It looks really good. Just apply it to my cheek. And it actually looks really natural on the cheek. Like it doesn't look, it's just really just gorgeous. And it has a beautiful sheen. And I'm definitely moving this into my permanent drawer. Now it can be an eyeshadow too. And I like maybe some point will throw it on my eyes, but my intention is to use it as a cheek product, and I'm going to keep it with my cheek products. Oh, also this is in limited edition packaging, but this color is a permanent color. It's just I like the white packaging more than I like the red. So I thought this was really cute. I'm like really into this. And it's funny because I've been using it so much, but it's just like December of last year, I pre-planned all of my content so that it would just keep going. Because like a lot of times through the rest of the year when I'm doing my content, it's like I plan for the week it's happening, not really like weeks in advance. advance, but I was like, December is going to be busy. I'm going to be doing all these things. I would like to have my month kind of planned. That's what I was doing, right? So like I had my month planned. I just wasn't using new stuff. Like that wasn't any of the content I was making in December. So I really didn't have a chance to talk about it, but like it's the blush that I've been reaching for the most in my free time. And I really, really like it. It's so good. Like I'm very into it. Now I can build it up more and get something like more built up, but I just like it just is easy to use on the cheek. Now I don't know if all the shades are that easy to use, and like obviously I have the skin tone that I have, so I don't know how it's gonna show up on other skin tones, but like it felt really like intuitive. And I haven't used any other Valentino products, but I feel like when I watch other people on YouTube use Valentino products, it doesn't look like it's very intuitive. Okay, and then I need to throw on highlighter, and then we're gonna talk about the elephant in the room. I'm gonna use the Torch Lumiere in Diamanti and just tap a little bit. I don't even want like that much, just like a little bit of something. Let's start talking about the Industrial 2.0 palette. Like I feel like I've been using it so well, I've got it in August. And just as clarification, the brand sent this to me after seeing the Critical Sass where they had teased it, but they hadn't shown it. And I said a lot of things, and they were like, we saw you like, and it was very like tongue in cheek. They were like, they seemed very cool with what I said. My fearless feedback, as I'd like to say, they seemed pretty okay with my fearless feedback. And they offered to send it to me, and then I was like, I'm going to try it. So before I do any application, I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna tell you how the eyeshadows work. And I'm going to show you a couple on my lids. That's going to be as unbiased as I can be. And then I'm going to go into the biased portion of my feelings on it, which are different than that. So the palette itself, if you are familiar with the original one, it's the same exact packaging. It is just in this chrome finish. So it's not very heavy. It's also not very big. Like I have it next to my head for scale, but like, let me get another palette because I feel like this is important if you've not bought one of these palettes to like understand what the feel of it is. I feel like a lot of people have seen a Mothership, at least in a store. It's much smaller than the Mothership. I was under the impression before I got my first one that I thought it was going to be just as big as a Mothership and heavy, but it's not heavy. It's really light. And the layout is the same. So you have, what is it? 14 shades? Yeah, you have 14 shades of eyeshadow. So there's a couple different formulas in here, and I would say that all of the formulas in here are much easier to use than Industrial 1. So if you have Industrial 1 and you've been thinking about this, and I just saw that they're restocking this for a final time, so I don't even know if you could buy this. So I'm sorry that this is late, but we're here. We're talking about it. The only one that really felt similar to anything in the first palette was this shade right here. It felt very similar to the blue shade in Industrial 1. Except it's green. So it was very similar to this shade right here. They have a similar like iridescent formula, and like, well, the green one's a little more flaky. They do the same thing. They're like these iridescent kind of toppers, you know. You can do whatever you want. It has that thick texture that a lot of the formulas in Industrial 1 have, which I didn't find a lot of the formulas in here to be like as thick. I felt like also Industrial 1 feels like a masterclass in finger painting eyeshadow. Like you can use brushes with them, but they like really seem to want to be used by your finger, and that's when you get the most impact. That's been my experience with this, and I like that about it. So this is going to give anyone who maybe didn't like that about Industrial 1, this is going to give you something a little bit more. All of the eyeshadows perform pretty well. The only ones that I don't really care for, I think this might be a personal preference, it's these shades that have like glitter in them. So it's this shade, and this shade. They have a pigmented base, and then they have sparkle in them. And what I'm learning about myself is that if I'm gonna have sparkle, I'd prefer a sheerer base. The way these swatch is like, I don't really care for like the way that looks, and obviously I'm putting them on my eyes. They have like a drier feel than anything in Industrial 1 had, and I don't like it. It gives me the same kind of like icky feeling that like like a sequined eyeshadow is, like a matte that has a sparkle in it. So I don't really like care for those. Those are the only 3 shades that I don't really care for formula wise, because I felt like they also had a lot of fallout. Now, I'm someone who's very accustomed to fallout when I'm doing eyeshadow. I use a lot of sparkly eyeshadows, and like I'm okay with fallout. The fallout with those shades feels a little bit more excessive than I'm used to when it comes to fallout. I would suggest, if this was a palette that you get your hands on or were looking to get your hands on, to use a glitter primer with those and do your eyes first. The other thing that the other problem I really have with it is that it's like I don't feel like I can do a look with just this. Like, the kind of bigger problem I have with it is just like, I look at this and it's like as if 14 single eyeshadows were put in a palette and given to me, and then I can't move them around or like do my own thing with them. Like, they are just in here. Now, some people love that. And like, obviously you could use a lot of these as a one and done. I don't think that any of them really are good one and dones. I feel like they like kind of need assistance from some other things to really get them to like reach their full potential. That ends like my unbiased feelings about it, but now I'm gonna get more into like my biased feelings about it. I just think, and I said this in my original commentary on this doesn't feel like it was a part of this. It doesn't feel like a reiteration of it. I don't really feel like they go together. If this is part 2, I would want them to like go together. Now, I don't want this palette just to be again, right? And honestly, I wouldn't have this issue if they had just like called this palette something else and it wasn't like industrial. There's only a couple shades in here that I feel like have that industrial feeling, and it's mostly like this quad over here, and then like also this shade up here, and then like this one too. It's just like I'm not feeling the same like industrial feeling that I got whenever I feel like I'm using this. I don't really even feel like, yeah, like I wouldn't ever put these two color stories together to make a look. You know, sometimes like a brand makes a part 2 and it like very clearly looks like it's like was thought of in the same collection, has a similar vibe, and like it's like you would have both those palettes open and you'd be like, oh, I'm dipping in here, dipping in there, and dipping in there. One thing that would be like a pro to some people is like, this is really intense and like this is a little bit easier, a little bit breezier. But like, I don't care for these pastels. And I know that like some like industrial like rusting thing in the decay of metals and things like that, you might see some colors like that, or like, you know, if metal's on fire, sometimes there's certain like chemicals in metals that like will make them burn like different bright colors. Like, I can kind of see the vision and argument for that. I don't see the vision of these two being the same thought. I don't at all. The other thing that I don't care for, and this is a con to me, I don't think it's a con overall. The thing I like about Industrial One is that the formulas are weird. They're weird, and like they are not the easiest to work with, I don't think. And that's to, you know, the detriment of some people. But sometimes I like to interact with makeup that isn't like count by numbers. And I don't think this is really count by numbers either. But like the textures of them, it's like, I feel like, you know, you kind of have to like think about it a little bit more whenever you're using this one. I said I don't feel like I could do like a full look out of this just with this. Like, most of the times I've used it, I've been dipping into other matte formulas, which is okay. Like, that's fine, but like not ideal, right? Like, this would never be a palette I would take on a trip with me because it's too big and it can't do everything for me. If they were removable pans, I think I would be much more okay with it. The other thing is, there's this one formula in here I don't care for. It's not that I think it's bad. I don't care for it. It's these pastel shades. So this shade, this blue, this pink, and then this darker blue all have this, they're just like these Easter, they're like these Easter colors, and they're like fine. There's 4 of them, and there are some like other and more interesting things I would have liked to see more of. I feel like this shade right here and the brown right here, they're like they're kind of close together, but not entirely like close. But those are the 2 shades I like the most, and they just happen to be shades that look like they could be in the first one. The taupe shade, I wish there was like more formulas like that where it's like a bit of a metallic. It's not really sparkly. It has some sparkle in it, but it's not really super sparkly. And then you have this brown, which I do like the color, but I also think this shade is maybe the worst performing in the palette. It's just like, what is it? It's like chunky, and it's like I've used it just fine. Like, it's a fine. It's not like $115 palette. Fine. Like, that I would want better than that. These duochromes are pretty, but they are certainly not something that you couldn't get from an indie brand. And if that would be why you're interested in this palette, I would 100% just recommend going to like Cleona and buying a duochrome from them, as opposed to spending like buy one and then pay for the shipping and just pay like $20 for the whole experience, rather than pay 115 for like, okay, they're like good, they're good, but they're not like anything that like I'm feeling wowed about. I don't get it. And the thing is, if the brand hadn't sent it to me, I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't have bought it. Like, it's absolutely something that I was like certainly not super interested in. Let me just show you the iridescent shades. They're pretty. Like, so they have this like wet look. They are pretty. And they're, you know, they're duochromes. They're doing their duochrome thing. They're pretty, but it's just like, you don't need that from Isamaya. And I think the disappointment in the textures of these is the thing that I'm the most disappointed with. Because even if I didn't like the colors, if I felt like the formulas were like we were trying to push for something, I would have been okay with it, right? Like, I think I would have liked this a little bit more. A couple of things happened, right? You put this in the industrial collection, it's immediately going to get compared to this. Of course, anytime a brand releases something, whatever they're doing is going to get compared to their previous releases. Like, that's par for the course. But you like purposefully put them as the same collection. So now I'm comparing them. And again, I don't think everyone was going to like the formulas of this, but that's something that I want to see more of. Like, I want to see more makeup brands make things that are really cool. It might be a little bit confounding. I think a good thing to compare like the formulas of this palette to is I talk about Danessa Myricks quite a bit, right? And whenever I'm in Critical Sass, or whenever I'm like maybe have the opportunity to use something from her, a lot of times I don't get what Danessa Myricks is trying to do. And I feel like the formulas in here are like that to me. It's like, I don't know like that I always understand what she was envisioning with this. And I think that a lot of people would get this in their hands and feel very similarly. The original one, they'd be like, oh, like, I don't know if I get it, but you would look at it and you would use it and you'd be like, oh, okay, even though like this doesn't work for me, I kind of see the vision of it. This doesn't have that to me. It doesn't have it. And it's weird. The color story, it looks like Easter to me for the most part. And then you have those like, you know, coppery shades. It doesn't feel like a fully fleshed out thought to me as a palette. And obviously I don't love the monochrome palette. I'm not saying that it needs to be monochrome. It's just like, it doesn't also go. It's just like nothing in here really, nothing goes. I will say that I'm going to give this palette this though. Every time I've done a look with it, I've liked it. That's something to be said. Something to be said for this palette. It is good. So let's construct a look together. Now, I did a look a really long time ago that people asked me to recreate. I don't know that I'm going to be able to like recreate it because I really don't remember what it was. But I think I know what I used, but I'm not really 100% sure. I'm actually not gonna go in with my cream matte to set this because I think I want a little bit of that tackiness because we'll be working with some shimmers in here. So I'm gonna start with that dark brown shade, and I'm gonna take this synthetic Sephora brush in here, and I'm just gonna start it on the outside of my lid and blend it in, but not like a crease shade, just kind of like all over the lid. Trying to keep as much of the depth on the outside to give a little bit of that depth. I mean, we could stop there. That's a pretty good one and done. Like, it has, you know, all the things I would like in a one and done. Kind of like, you know, the blendability and like the ability to like adjust, but it is a pretty dark shade. And then I think I took, again, I'm like really trying to remember this shade right here, or I took this one over here, but I'm fairly certain I reached into this one. I'm just gonna use the same brush, and I'm just gonna focus that on the inner portion of the lid and try not to blend it too far out because I do want the brown to like hold its own. So this is one of those shades where I was like, I think it has a really cool effect on the eye. I just don't like working with it, but it looks cool, right? It reads really well in the light and on camera. I like flakiness, you know, sometimes I really do, but like there's something about the way that these are formulated that I don't really vibe. I don't vibe with them. And then I think I took the green. I think it was this green right here. And I think I just put that on the inner corner. I think I blended it up. I think that's what I did in that look. So like pretty easy. I think that's all I did. Hopefully, I'm gonna zoom you in. So I don't know if you can see all of the like copper that like fell down. And I didn't use a glitter glue. Like I said, and I'm, I'm demoing here. I just am showing you, like, I would 100% recommend to do your eyes first. Which, and this is like, if I was using any shimmer shade, I would do that first. I don't think I used glitter glue the first time either. The glitter glue does help with, obviously, the fallout. I think that's the look I did that everyone liked. It was a while ago, so I don't even know what video it was in. Like, I don't even, but I remember I got a lot of comments on that particular. What is this white spot on my face? I wouldn't recommend that, but that's kind of like selfishly. Like, I just wouldn't recommend this. I don't know. Like, I've seen it be other people's jam. So I think it is for some people. I just think it's like decidedly not for me. And I also will say this is like I found reaching for it to be a chore. Like it felt like I was forcing myself to use it. The other reason I've been avoiding using it is because I kept wanting to do like a big review video on it. Like here's just an honesty moment, like a little bit of a heart to heart. It's like I had plans to do like a video all about it, talking about my feelings about the brand kind of from start to how I got this, and like it was gonna be this whole thing. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, but then I realized I didn't care about this eyeshadow palette enough to like do that. Like I was like, I just don't like it that much. Like I don't care about it. However, I'm gonna move it into my eyeshadow drawer because I do like the looks that I get with it. And I think now that I've talked you through the things about it that I've like my hangups about it, I want to see if I maybe start reaching for it, like start thinking about it a little bit differently and contextualizing it differently outside of the realms of me putting pressure on myself to talk about it and have feelings about it. I feel like every time I would talk about the brand Isamaya, there's always like some kind of pushback, and which is like fine, right? Like everyone's allowed to have their own opinion about it. It's just like it was like one of those things where like I don't want to fight with people about my opinion on this, because that was the thing, was just like I was like, people are gonna be mad about my opinion on this piece versus the other pieces, and like I knew people weren't gonna like the way that I was talking about it, not because it was negative, just like contextually how I was talking about it. Anyway, I have liked the looks that I've done with it. I'm gonna sit on it for a bit and see if my relationship changes with it. But I also like the idea of moving it out of my testing drawer and putting it in. It's like kind of getting like this temporary, it's going to be like a temporary put in. So like here, that's it. I've talked about it. Those are my thoughts and feelings on it. Like I think you can do some cool things with it for sure. But I also think that if you're looking for special single shadows, these are not the most, like if you're looking for something really special, I just don't think this is that special. I think I would recommend to you going and buying some single shadows, like indie single shadows, or even Sephora brand single shadows. Like I'm sure they have some duochromes in there. There's brands like Sydney Grace. I'm not even talking about Cleona. Like Cleona is the first one that always comes to mind, but like there's Divina, there's Glamonatrix has duochromes. Like, there's so many places where you could like buy things that feel just as special as this for much less of a cost, and you can curate your experience. Unless you love every shade in here, I just can't see anyone loving every single aspect of this eyeshadow palette, which is why I think it's like as a palette it fails for me. Okay, but that's it. Okay. Let me throw on mascara. Oh, I'm gonna line my eyes with ash. Eyeliner, mascara. I feel like you're now far away. When did that happen? And then for lip, I mean, why not? Why not? I have it. I have it. Why not? I haven't put this on my lips yet. But this is also from Isamaya, but it's from the Wild Girl Horsey collection. It's the shade Lucky Kiss. Or is that the name of the... It's either Lucky Kiss or Outlaw, the shade. Lucky Kiss might be the name of the actual lipstick. It's interesting because I could feel the shimmer particles as I was putting it on. I don't feel it on my lips now. It also had a pretty delightful smell. I don't know if this metallic lip is, like I'm living for the metallic lip, but I did take it from Khaki because I was just like, well, it's here, it's here. I have to know. I'm gonna spray my face, and then I want to walk through everything a little bit again. Let's talk about the stuff that's newer to me and not stuff that's been in my collection forever. So, the Valentino Eye to Cheek in the shade 3 I'm moving it into my blush drawer. I already said it. I just love the way it looks. Like, it looks really stunning. Very into it. Glossier foundation. I think my complexion looks really good. I think it looks really good in person. I think it looks better in person than it does on camera. It's not as, like, you know, perfecting of the pores as I typically go for sure. I think, like, the level of coverage, you know, is nice. Like, I think everything about it is, it's pretty nice. I like it a lot more this time, and I think it just had a lot to do with the shade match. The blur powder, again, I think my skin does look good, and I do think that I can't say that this didn't help it along, but I feel like I see my pores a little bit more than I usually do when I use the original. So I don't know. I really don't know about it. I feel like if I'm not wet, I want to keep using it. I just want to keep using it because I just feel like I haven't gotten my thoughts on. I don't really know how I feel about it. Then the Isamaya Industrial 2.0, I'm keeping this. I'm going to test it out some more. I'm moving it into my drawer, and so it can be out of my testing drawer, and that way I can like recontextualize it. But if not, I know some people I could rehome this to that will get a lot of use out of it that have been wanting it. If it doesn't stick around with me, you know, we'll check in my mid-year declutter and see how I feel about it. It might go before then, it might declutter, but I also might fall in love with it by then and be like, I have only good things to say about this. So we'll see. I feel relief finally having just like talked about it. And then this lipstick, I'm gonna declutter. I don't like the way it looks. I don't feel like when I rub my lips together, I don't feel the glimmer particles. I just don't know that I'm a metallic lip person. And I think if I were to be a metallic lip person, I would go for something more cool and less warm. Like, this isn't, it reminds me of, it's sort of like Trinket, but there was another shade from Sugar Pill that I had. It reminds me of that Gravity. No, is that the blue one that I had? I don't know. There was one I got rid of not that long ago. It reminds me a lot of that shade. It's like has gold flecks in it. You know what? This is more red than that one. That one was more brown, which is why I think I kept it around. Anyway, fine. Oh, and you know what? I meant to talk about this. Don't buy this. It's really cool, but I wouldn't pay $40 for this. I like it. I wouldn't buy it. I like it. I like that I got to try it. I get the white ring with it. It does have like a plumping irritation agent in it. I like it, and I've heard people say good things about the Kaleidos ones. There's a Kaleidos shade that's kind of similar to this. I would go with that one before I would spend my money on this. And even like, I think what the Kaleidos one might be like $15, $18, and then even if you're paying $10 shipping, it's still $12 cheaper than buying this. Food for thought. I wouldn't buy that. It's cool. I like it. I wouldn't buy it. Like, I don't recommend that to you. It's not a $40 formula. And you should just know that. Okay, anyway, that wraps up this video. So if you are new to my channel, hi, welcome. And you made it through. If you want to subscribe, I would love to have you subscribe. My channel is mostly about like reusing the same things over and over again, figuring out what I like. And I also, obviously, I've talked about PR at the beginning of this. I'm a growing channel, and my relationship with makeup is like ever evolving. But I always like to touch base, and so like doing these videos with like some tried and true things and with some new things is how I'm navigating this. So if you want to see more of that, I would love to have you subscribe. But there are videos where I don't use anything new. I've been doing like get ready with me content, but it's not about the makeup. It's more about the actual act of getting ready, and then I do some vlogging in them. So if any of that sounds good to you, I'd love to have you subscribe. And then obviously I do like review based content too. So stick around if you'd like. Make sure you like this video, share it if you think someone else would like it, and I'm on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. I also have channel memberships. They're the same. Either one, you get the same content on either one. So I would love to have you join one of those if you'd like. There's no pressure to, though. Liking, commenting, and sharing is the best way to support me. It's just an additional way to support me. It allows me a little more freedom in what I can do here on YouTube as far as reviewing things and you know, making it a little more worth my time to make videos. But again, there's no pressure. I do one additional video there every month, and also the podcast I do with Kaki over there is released weekly, so you get like 5 additional things a month. And if you're not into the podcast, you at least get the one additional video. And I do like sneak peeks of like upcoming content if I'm reviewing something or if I'm keeping something secret. You know, I'll tell the patrons and the channel members. Channel membership is like newer, so I'm like learning that still a little bit. So it's a little bit more touch and go with how I'm figuring that out, but it's all there if you want to do it. I've been talking about Patreon for too long, so I'm gonna stop talking about that, and I'm just gonna finish the video. Remember to follow your haute, and you'll find me. I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth, tits out. Bye-bye.